Hello my dear friends, and welcome back to another Star Wars news update. Today we're going to be focusing on the Ahsoka series, notably some wild rumours that have emerged over the last few hours. Before that though, we have some new footage for the Andor series. A new TV spot has released, and while most of it's taken from the teaser trailer, we do have two new awesome frames of Cassian. He looks incredible. As we get closer to the series release, I'm hoping the hype train ramps up a little bit. As you guys know, I've been super excited for this show, but generally speaking in the fandom, it does not feel as though there is much excitement. Maybe that's going to change in August, but as I always say, do not sleep on this series. I feel as though it's going to get a lot of attention when word spreads. A lot of folks are sleeping on it now, but that probably won't be the case when the first couple of episodes drop. And speaking of which, once again yesterday the official Star Wars Twitter account confirmed that the Andor show is a 2-episode premiere. Super exciting stuff, 43 days to go. So now let's get back to the Ahsoka series, because a wild leak has been making its way around the internet. The Ahsoka series is going to feature Mustafar, and notably a Sith cult known as the Alismech of Winzit. For reference, we first saw this group on Mustafar at the start of The Rise of Skywalker. They were the ones that Kylo took out. Now, given recent reports that Darth Vader is going to feature in the show through flashbacks, this Mustafar-based cult appearing makes a lot of sense. Ahsoka might be trying to retrace her former master's steps after he turned to the dark side. So following the revelation in Star Wars Rebels Twilight of the Apprentice, she might be curious to investigate, and this might take her to Mustafar where his castle was situated. Something which I've seen a couple of people mention is that maybe part of her journey to becoming Ahsoka the White during the epilogue of Rebels, which takes place after the Mandalorian, is coming to terms with Anakin turning to the dark side. Of course, at this point in the timeline, since she knows Luke, she's probably aware that Anakin was redeemed and turned back to the light at the point of death. But in some way, shape or form, in the present day or in a flashback, we could see her trace Vader's steps, and if they're introducing this cult into the show, we might also see the Eye of the Webbish Bog, a spider-like being on Mustafar who was meant to appear in episode 9. The Eye of the Webbish Bog features in the Rise of Skywalker novelization, and also various Vader comics. Now, going back to the Alismech of the Winzit, they were a Sith cult who followed the Sith religion and colonized Mustafar sometime following the death of Darth Vader, so it's likely going to be in the present day. They were so obsessed with Darth Vader that after his demise, they tried to channel his power. They also venerated Lady Corvax and planted iron trees in the bog of Corvax Fen, which was thought to be drenched in her tears, in a vain attempt to reinvigorate Mustafar's once lush ecosystems. Now, I will say guys, take this with a huge grain of salt, as it's just a wild rumor at this stage and nothing is confirmed and no further details are known. And speaking of the Ahsoka series, you might recall the other day I covered an interview with Ashley Eckstein where she talked about the legacy of Ahsoka. Well now my dear friends, in a new interview with the SFF Gazette, she reflects on Tales of the Jedi and sharing the role of Ahsoka with Rosario Dawson, who of course portrays her in live action. Ashley Eckstein, who of course voices Ahsoka in every animated pursuit, is again returning to voice the character in Tales of the Jedi. In her own words she says, "I'm just beyond honoured to step back into Ahsoka's boots and breathe life into her again for Tales of the Jedi. Dave Filoni promises me I would always be the voice of Ahsoka in animation, and I'm thrilled to return and I'm so excited." Teasing the series, she says, "The shorts are beautiful, the stories are wonderful, I can't wait to share them with everyone." And later in the conversation, she was asked about the Ahsoka series, and specifically what it was like to share the role with Rosario Dawson. Ashley admits at first she was afraid to be sidelined, as of course many fans did too, but now she says, "It's very exciting, it's something I always approach with so much gratitude. I don't look at what I'm not doing, I look at what I've been able to do, every new opportunity I'm so grateful for." And even though Rosario Dawson is brilliant in the live-action Ahsoka role, it's so great to see that Ashley Eckstein is going to voice the character again in Tales of the Jedi. And as I reiterated the other day, I kind of hope they asked Ashley to be on set for the Ahsoka series, just to give Rosario a few pointers, maybe some advice, that kind of thing. Because outside of Dave, there are not many people who understand Ahsoka as well as Ashley does, so in some ways I'm hoping the Ahsoka series does justice to Ashley and kind of incorporates some elements that she brings to the character, continuing the legacy that she has in animation, which is of course where we first knew her from. And what an amazing time it is to be an Ahsoka fan. Outside of the Ahsoka series and Tales of the Jedi, she might also appear again in The Mandalorian Season 3. Rosario Dawson has brought so much to the character. Awesome stuff. And so now, my dear friends, let's talk about The Mandalorian. I've been covering it a lot on the channel recently. We had the teaser trailer shown at Star Wars Celebration, some new stills, some of those plot leaks that emerged, but today I want to talk about something which I teased a couple of weeks ago, but now I've had a chance to read it. So, as you're probably aware, the Mandalorian comic adaptation has released. I read through the first issue, and I've got to say, it is so impressive. Even though we know the story, we know what happens, we know the characters, the dialogue, etc. I can't really explain it, but the comic has like a different feel to it. It's so unique as its own medium, and the Mandalorian translates so well in comic form. It was just a unique and different vibe. It almost had a different intensity to it. It wasn't better or worse, it was just different, and it felt as though I was rewatching episode 1 all over again. I highly recommend it, but something the comic does is it reminds fans not to ignore the unanswered Grogu mysteries. Why is he on Arvala 7? What other Imperial factions were after him at that time? And why did competing factions to Moff Gideon want the child dead? Could they have had a vested interest in not bringing Palpatine back? The comic adaptation, while not really adding anything new to the story, reminds viewers of the questions we had when we first saw Season 1, Episode 1. Now, while The Mandalorian's first 2 seasons and the Book of Boba Fett have given us so much backstory to him, there is a large period of time missing. Who rescued him from the temple? Who brought him to Arvala 7? And why after Order 66 did his mind go dark? These are questions that are still to be answered, but reading through the Mandalorian comic adaptation, you're reminded of all of these fan theories we had after Season 1. It is a simple adaptation, but the artwork is gorgeous, and you're reminded in paper form of just how solid The Mandalorian is as a story. The dialogue in particular is very powerful. It emphasizes conflict amongst the Imperials, and you're reminded that it's not just Moff Gideon and the client. There are clearly some other Imperials behind the scenes who we've not met yet, but some of the leaks state we are going to meet them in Season 3. So much fundamentally about The Mandalorian right from the start was what they don't show you on screen, and as we get into the 3rd season, as Giancarlo Esposito teased, we are finally going to get some answers. Some of the pieces are finally coming together. So as I say, guys, if you've not read the Mandalorian comic adaptation, I really recommend it. I've only read issue number 1, but it puts into perspective how excellent the storytelling is. Kudos to Jon Favreau, Dave Filoni, but also Rodney Barnes, George Genty, and Carl Story, who are responsible for this adaptation. And so finally, my dear friends, some new concept art for Star Wars Episode 9 has emerged, and it reveals that Leia had a purple lightsaber. In unused concept art shared by Adam Brockbank on Instagram, Luke Skywalker can be seen wielding a purple lightsaber, while Leia has a blue one. The artist revealed that this was going to be reversed if the concept had been used, so Leia would have had a purple one. And back in November of 2016, Carrie Fisher admitted on The Late Show with Stephen Colbert that if Leia were to brandish a lightsaber, she'd want it to be a purple one. Of course, in the final edit in the flashback, green and blue lightsabers were used. But in a way, Brockbank's art is a way of honouring Carrie Fisher. Just an interesting tidbit. So let me know your thoughts in the comments down below, guys, of this and everything we spoke about in today's video. The Ahsoka world rumours, the Andor footage, the Mandalorian adaptation, and I will say tomorrow, I do have some very good Mandalorian Season 3 news, so be sure to subscribe and hit the bell so that you never miss an upload. If you enjoyed this video, please be sure to give me a big fat thumbs up, subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you in the next one. May the Force be with you always. I'm Star Wars Meg. Have a good one.